Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 30th episode of Voice of Silence, Season 2. Today, we have Dr. Shalini S with us, who's a practicing doctor here in Delhi, and she's going to be speaking about the voice of independent thinking. Now, before she takes over, I had a conversation with her last week when we were in conversation, and I was listening to what she has to say, and I was kind of making the whole program. Is when actually I realized that what independent thinking really is. Basically, what it means is that you have your own way of thinking and you're not really influenced by any other voice. Now, what those voices can be could be maybe of your parents, of your environment, of the current society you're in, maybe the trends that you're following, and why are they there? And are you willing to keep them aside and look at things for what they are? So I think that is what independent thinking really means. And that's when I got thinking and I realized that as much as I would like to believe I'm also a very independent woman living in an urban city of India, I realize that I'm also covered in a lot of ways. And which is why it makes this conversation very, very important. So on that note, thank you, Dr. Shalini. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Before we begin on all the topics we want to discuss, I would like you to just kind of tell us who you are, introduce yourself basically, and then we get to the main points.
So, hi, and thank you, Kanika, for having me here. It's a topic that I think I just realized after talking to you and also visiting so many of your earlier videos. I realized that this is a topic that probably is very, very relevant of today. And this topic also needs a lot of deliberation, not only in the circle amongst the persons who are in the policy decision, but also amongst all walks of life.
Yes.
And basically, regarding being at Shanti, so I'm from Ladakh, basically. So, and when I did my schooling and my graduation from outside of Ladakh, my father was in the army. He's also a doctor. And I've spent a lot of time outside of Ladakh. I've spent a lot of time in the north of India, in Lucknow, in places like Punjab, and also a place called Kalimpong. So I've had a lot of experience outside of India. And after my schooling, so I happened to pursue MBBS. So I did my graduation from Delhi. So it just happened that after graduation, I went on to post-graduation in a subject called community medicine. This subject is also known as public health or preventive and social medicine. So this subject is very close to social medicine, the social aspects which are affecting health, and also we study the various social factors. So after my post graduation, I went on to do my some of my work outside of the my post graduation area. I mean, in my college, I went on to work in the private setup in a medical college. And then for the past 9 years, I'm in a government setup. So I'm in a medical college in a government setup in south of Delhi, in South Asian Hospital. So during my time in Safdarjung Hospital, I realized that my interest in this particular topic related to empowerment of India, of women, especially related to health. So, what are the factors which affect the reproductive empowerment and empowerment as such? So, empowerment has many dimensions. So we went on to do some thesis work on the subject of reproductive empowerment and autonomy. So that is one area we focus, and we did 3 years of work in this research, and we have a thesis covering this. So this
You said autonomy
and empowerment.
and how are these? Okay. So I'm coming from a little bit of a layman perspective, which I'm sure a lot of our viewers do. Can you throw some light on what reproductive empowerment means? I think I know what you're talking about, but it'd be great to hear from your mouth. And how is that autonomy? Because as I understand autonomy is again kind of related to independent thinking, but how are we relating the two? And in context of Indian women?
See, many of these factors, although they are common, so in autonomy, we are looking at what is happening in terms of the boundaries that she's able to, cross and makes for herself in terms of her decision making regarding her reproductive rights. So, in the empowerment part, we go a little further and we go discuss the deeper social aspects as well as the finances. How those are affecting her decisions regarding the reproductive matters.
Yes.
The things like sexuality, things like all the things related to reproductive dimensions. So it could be childbirth, it could be access to antenatal care, postnatal care. So all of this will be covered in all the reproductive. So we got. So after doing the study, we realized that the reproductive empowerment and autonomy, in our review of literature, we realized that it is something that has been remaining stagnant for the past many decades. And many times through the decades, it has even dipped. So this is just one of the dimensions of the empowerment.
Yeah, and when you say that it stayed the same or dipped, this is in context of urban India, or are you talking about rural India?
Yeah, so this study was focused on urban.
On urban India. So let's start funneling down a little bit and then we come to the main topic. So when you say, because I think that's where it stems from. In my experience, I feel how women think or act, it does come from baseline, that area, which is reproductive empowerment. Everything else, I think, is things that we are doing, but this is what we are.
So this study was actually the cost of interjection. Let me complete this.
Yeah, please.
So the specification is that this was done in an urbanized village of Delhi.
Urbanized
area of Delhi comprising of around 11 villages in the south of Delhi.
Okay.
So the context, it's not that in the rural areas, the context is totally different. It's the same. We haven't really gained much in terms of reproductive. So in a context where we know that the educational, the education, the access to women for so many decades from 80s, 90s, and even now, 2021, it has gone really up. But her things like reproductive empowerment and even her matters related to her contribution in the working sector, here we have, we have educational material, we have the scientific evidence from ILO, International Labour Organization. So here also we can see, we will be shocked that for the past at least 3 decades, 90s, 2000, and now this is the third decade, it has been declining. Proportion of female labor workforce in terms of proportion of the population, it has been on the decline.
This one's hard to believe.
So why would that be? It has always remained somewhere in 30s, 32. At the max, it has been 38%. So many factors are there, of course. The factors are there that we are talking about urban. In the rural, it has been a little higher because we know women have a big contribution in the rural sector. They are there in the agriculture. So because structural changes in the rural areas have not been that much, in urban areas it is much, but their contribution to the service sector hasn't gained much. There's been a slight up in the recent, maybe in the 20s, but that is hardly something to appreciate. So in terms of proportion, it is declined. So you refer to ILO data or you refer to the Delhi data or India data from various economic surveys from SRS, sample registration systems. All of these surveys, this contribution has been declined in the service sector.
This is very strange. I don't even know how to react to this one because we are living in some phones paradise. That means people were not aware of this because you see women everywhere. But yes, considering that the population is increasing and you're saying that 32 to 38 is max percentage.
It's more. So in the end, again, one more thing I can even add, very recent perspective is that during the COVID, so all this is pre-COVID. So during the COVID, Large, you must have seen, read in the newspaper, it has been a talk for the past, at least this year, that a big chunk of the labor force of the service sector, those who were working online from their homes, they have pulled out of the
Workforce.
workforce. Because now that the companies have called them back to the offices, so those big proportion of the women, those who were working, because they got this at home at their disposal. So they were okay with that till the time it was online. Now they have gone back. So, so they are
As so, okay, so this is very interesting. What? Why do you think? Let's move into the psychology, if you are any sure, if we can. What do you think is the reason behind all this? If you were to speak as a doctor who's a woman,
so if we want to, so there are two sides of it. What is the supply side? So you have the urban elite, highly educated world. Okay. So they are okay as long as if their husbands are really doing well, they don't mind staying. There are many social factors here where patriarchy is there, that they're okay that they stay at home, they take care of the kids because their husbands are doing really well. That's one of the factors because of the patriarchal thing. Women in India, I think by now, many of us educated people, we are aware that women in India, they need their validation from multiple sources.
yes,
Especially if we talk about the urban elites, highly educated and financially independent women, they also sort of fall in this. They don't seem to care either. Or they fall in this trap, and they are probably to the extent I can say they're very selfish. That they want everything.
yeah,
They want to be a good mother. They want to be a good wife. They want to be a good daughter-in-law.
yeah,
They want everything, and they've realized that yes, if this this domain of their life is doing so much justice to their validation and their what they're looking,
yeah,
how they're looking in the this thing, then what more is there to it will do. It is fairly enough.
yeah,
And it's not like just the end of the world. The domestics in the house will not stop because she has stopped working.
yeah, yeah,
And from the husband's side, there's no pressure.
yeah,
So they are okay with it. So there's no deep down, there's no that make or break thing in the head that I'm doing this work for the sake of the work. It's not. So probably that could be one of the reasons they're not doing work for the sake of the work. They're doing it because probably there's a big economic opportunity where in the urban side we can also see that the prices of the cost of living is very high. We can shit. But if you're talking about the urban elite, financially independent, they're really women who have very good careers, very good professions, but they're okay with this arrangement. So it's a different thing that when we look at those so many studies, the psychological surveys, they show that we're not being very happy.
happy. Happiness is
They're living
happiness is
life.
elusive. It's a they're living in a bubble. I would say. Is it? Is
They're it seems it's their
self-created bubbles?
bubbles, and they're okay with it. They like to stay as a victim. They enjoy that, and to the extent I could say that they probably use that to validate their.
This is a very interesting point. No, it's an interesting point. And here, whoever's watching, again, very important. I keep bringing your attention back to the fact that this voice is voice of independent thinking. So here we are. I'm trying to, and I know Dr. Shalini is the voice of independent thinking, which means that we're really trying hard to look at things for what they are and not really sitting and talking about women or men for that matter in any light. It is just we are just observing and talking. Correct?
Yeah.
Coming back, you said they may just be still continuing to be victims of something and using it to their advantage.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but please can we hear it from? Like, what do you mean by that?
What I mean is by that is that carry on this facade or whatever, this facade of being a good homemaker and this good wife,
Right.
with all this role. they have to, and also at the same time, they also have this pressure of being a good career woman
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
how is it possible? So, so there's a divide there. So if they're not actively pursuing what they believe deep down, so they can't have. So they're literally walking on eggshells. So on one hand, they know that they are their counterparts. Many of the women,
Yeah.
they are pursuing already. They're actively in the workforce, but they're sitting at home. So I think it is understandable that this is a breeding ground for frustration.
Okay.
But then at the same time, there is no, make or break pressure from the household that it's not
करना
going
ही
to
है.
work out. इसके बिना
Yeah.
चलेगा नहीं.
It's
So
not a
that's
do or
how
die situation. So it's like simmering. Like,
so they are not able to come up with how the modernization is happening, and they're so this is the reason that they're not actually contributing to the whereas so I know many people in my circle, friends who are IITs, IIMs, doctors, they've had breaks in their this okay with this in their career and they are okay with this. Of course, many of these breaks are happening at the time of childbirth for a recent period of time. But I also know of quite few women who have decided because if their husbands are doing really well, they might as well sit at home, know something, maybe a private practice, which is, very easy. You do a couple of hours of consultation somewhere very close to your home, and you don't have to go beyond that. So they are underdoing what their potential um, to live up to and satisfy their roots within the society.
okay, let's break this down. Let me give you an example. And so that we understand, a lot of times I need to do this because I don't know who is watching and how are they going to take this. I understand what you're saying. We are talking about women who are by elite. Basically, what we mean is that there is no dearth of money. I'm going to break it down in simple terms. There is no dearth of money, so nobody's really, scattering or skittering about for the money or making ends meet. There's enough money. Educated. There's a lot of education behind them. What Dr. Shalini is trying to bring our attention to is that a lot of women today who are highly educated out of choice, and bad jobs, took a break also out of choice, are now choosing to do roles kind of halfway, which can be actually given out to somebody else, and they're not operating at their full potential. Now, some of them here, I think the exception could be with women who have had a change of heart, want to stay at home and are fully in it, like fully मेरे को homemaker ही बन. I have realized that maybe say 35, 36 that I want to be a homemaker and they're very happy. Those are exceptions. I think what you're talking about is that they are operating at about, most women are operating at about a 60 to 50% in every role. So I think what Dr. Shalini is bringing our attention to is that why, number one, we need to ask why, and B, where is this, that's the independent thinking, that ये pressure कहाँ से आ रहा है कि आपको बीवी, माँ, daughter in law, homemaker बनना है और नहीं बन पा रहे हो तो guilt है. Is there guilt also involved? What is your take on that? Why do you think this is?
My take is that in 21st century, a lot of this pressure mostly is self-created, and they have probably not exercised much of self-introspection. So that much of self-deliberation, self-introspection, probably coming from our generations of having some mothers, and
Yeah.
you're not used to thinking too much about yourself,
Self, yeah.
and you're so absorbed with the daily things happening in your life that you've never given much attention to yourself. So my interest was that what is the deal with women when in today's time you have access to books, you're exposed to travel, you're going to multiple places, you see people from all walks of life. What is the deal? Why are we still stuck in this bubble, and we are still not able to think out of this, and why we are not being a little more ambitious for our own sake, not just in terms of money or degrees and profession, but also in terms of your own
Potential,
learning,
meaning,
becoming a
identity.
better person.
Yes, yes.
Identity is one of them.
Yes.
Why are we not being concerned about our own? It also comes on to the fact that probably it's also a little bit I feel that these women also think in terms of being a little more responsible about oneself, even in these roles. See, for example, suppose if you're out of work or you're underdoing what you're doing, obviously in the workforce you're not doing as good as you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, if your spouse or something happens in the family, there's a financial crisis, then what do you not blame yourself? You could have actively been in the workforce and you could have been in much a better place. So as an adult, it's a basic adult behavior that you are responsible for yourself. For what did you study then? For what did you do all that education? What
So
was
that
the
means, so isn't this kind of going in contrast to what feminism speaks about, equality?
Exactly.
Then this is going against it. So then women are responsible in a way. We are not bringing in external factors of, for the time again, because we are talking independently. This is independent thinking. So we are not going to bring external factors of maybe the man is not allowing or whatever.
This is just one perspective.
It's one perspective, so that's all, which is why we have you as a speaker. I'm saying then women who are shouting feminism on the top of their voices, or even equality for that matter, you're saying you have to move into equality. You cannot sit and expect it. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. So if you're talking about equality, you have to first tell what is your confidence.
Huh.
Where were you
Yes.
when you should
Yes.
have not had to land in that kind of situation? I know many of these women were sitting at home. Husbands suddenly lost their business work,
Job or something, yeah.
and still they don't pitch it. Because they say it's too late. It's too late to, by this time, they have already lost so many years of working. Now they don't want to start from a junior position. They don't want to do that because, image is everything.
Images
They're
are-
okay.
And then do you think they come under, or they choose the excuse of the homemaker and the mother in these circumstances? बच्चे को कौन देखेगा?
It always comes in handy. And it's not like the husbands are not convinced. They are also convinced deep down. It's a basic patriarchal, subconscious thing that we all are, part of this.
Yes, we all are.
It needs a lot of shaking and waiting.
It does.
It needs sort of, questioning yourself again and again why one is doing things in a certain.
Like as an example, I'm quoting an example that Dr. Shalini and I were talking about, and I was asking her for an example. I remember her saying, let's say, I'm going to talk about Gurgaon because I would know that better, and because I'm I'm interviewing her. Let's say in Gurgaon, there is a woman who is from a similar background in terms of very well educated, privileged, has a lot of economically very well stable women. Will suddenly, you said that suddenly they carry the guilt of not cooking for their children when they can very easily afford domestic help that can be supervised for meals to be made exactly how the child wants it. But somehow they also carry the guilt. Is it really guilt, or is it something else? This is what you're saying, that why can't you just hire help? Why do you have to cook?
If you can think in terms of moving away from the guilt side, if you can think this in terms of women just trying to be really more ambitious in their, validation part. So they don't want to lose that. They just don't want to lose this impression that they are a very good mother. They just don't want to do this. There's no way. And the same women who are so ambitious about their personal growth, they're very thing about their very, very touchy about their reputation. If they're getting, harassed physically and sexually, and they will never want their baby to be out in public. So they will never go for investigations. They will never, they will always want everything hidden. They'll rather leave the job
Than
catch hold of this guy. When they're ILGBT, they can always, pursue a case. They don't want to do it because their reputation is so important. So probably we need to move from the victim perspective to a perspective that it's a very thought out strategy, and the cost of being a very nice woman, free of any any blotch in their what is that?
Like
Image,
reputation,
reputation,
all of that.
always a nice girl. They just can't. That's why I see that 15 years later, people are saying that I had this guy had done some
Yeah,
harassment. What do you mean? Where were you 15 years
ago. Yeah. So, and
Yeah.
do you think is this out of fear? And now let's move to the context also of the society. And I'm saying women to women. Let's for a moment remove men from the picture. I'm putting myself in that place, and like I said, Dr. Shalini, you have actually opened one part of my brain after I spoke to you. I also somewhere I found myself living in fear for a few days. Then I was asking, of who? Of whom? Society, कौन है? More women. I don't really care much about what a man will think. I am also concerned that what do the women think. I am confessing. That's in a few things I'll be okay. If I say this publicly, then what are the women going to think? So, do you think women sometimes are not upholding each other? Do you feel that? Are they? Yeah. Have you not?
They always want anybody to come in there in the way of their image, in their way of being a good mother, good wife, many a times good daughter-in-law. That's very important thing. And they just don't want anything to be. So they'll always talk in third person, but they never tell about their own person, right? Because they don't want to lose out on anything in these terms. Something as dangerous as even like sexual harassment, they won't see it.
Yeah.
Why are these cases being hidden? Same reason. Nobody wants to be shown as a bad person.
So this and the thought that they will be shown as a bad person has been embedded in them most likely by another woman. Ye must
But then these are all realized, educated women. Why can't they taking the blame?
Exactly.
Why they have to remain victims all their life? They're not victims.
Yes,
I
agree with you.
They're not victims. It's a very thought out, strategized thing that they decided in their lives. This is one area which has been left untouched and nobody will know anything about. They can be beaten at home. When do you know about women getting burnt in dowry? Till that time, nobody knows liberties. So till that time, to be hidden.
No, I would like
come out of this, all the shackles and barriers, looking good, and things in the face.
Looking good, being good imagery. And here I would like to also second Dr. here because I have been conducting these talks for a while, and obviously I have spoken to women. Mostly women have come on the talk show. And over and above that, for so many years I have been, which is why I started Voice of Silence. She's bang on, right? So many women are going through so much and they choose not to talk about it. There are times when they tell me specifically, leave this. We will not talk about this because my family may be watching, my friends might be watching. And we are not placing blame here. What we're trying to say is, why are we doing this? That's the question.
What is that scared of? It's not like you've stolen something or you have robbed somebody of something. You're not being dishonest. You're not causing anybody any harm. It's just...
So you think victimhood has become like a very comfortable space? For women especially.
Safe place.
Safe place.
Nobody wants to venture out of the safe space. So basically, bottom the line is we need to move out of the so-called safe space. This is actually too unsafe to be in the safe space. So if you really want to go up and, learn and become a better person, rise out of that person who was there last year and not stay stuck in that person, in that persona, in that role, and have a much more fulfilling, joyous life of much more meaning. And
just before we move on to the how of it, I'm voicing a lot of women's voices also who may be listening. Let's say I am somebody who's being abused at home, and like you said, that there are a lot of forums by the way that I'm part of, which a lot of people women write anonymously, and I say, "Lag raha hai the world is going down. Like what's going on in marriages?" So, on behalf of those women, let's say there is a takeaway. Then we'll get to the how also because I know that there are things that you will tell us. अगर गट्स आ गए आज एक औरत में कि यार मेरे साथ ये चला, I'm not going to take it, and she just wants to voice her opinion, and but she's fearful कि यार मैं सबसे पहले तो मेरी मदर इन लॉ आके मुझे बोली कि why did you have to say this, ये घर की बात घर पे नहीं रख सकते थे. Second, my neighbor, my friend, my mother, my sister. Forget the men. I'm talking about the women. It's a bit, ये क्या? How? Like, डर तो होती, see, डर is real. Fear is real. Let's begin from there. From there, let's begin on the how to combat this slow and steady. How to combat.
Like, the only answer is, of course, educational understanding. The second thing is financial empowerment. So that's why I was focusing on somebody who already has a host factors of, financial stability. So it'll be better to work on these women's vice versa, somebody is not. Yes. However, you may be loving, it's a love marriage or marriage of your, arranged marriage, a very nice family, regardless of anything. If you are in that dynamic where you're dependent on your daily, things on your husband or your partner, then psychologically that dimension, that dynamic is always skewed. It's never in your favor. That dynamic is always going to work against you. And it's regardless of the person being a very learned person, wisdom, person full of wisdom, and he's constantly pursuing to upgrade his, keep himself or this thing. But that's not a very favorable environment for anyone.
Oh, that's fantastic. This is one. This is, so, to sum it up, this is amazing, because I asked you something and you said, you know what, they, like that situation where a woman maybe is being abused or battered at home, let's say, उनके ऊपर बात में आते हैं. What doctor is saying is that we've come there first. In a way, you're telling the women who are already in a privileged place or a more stable place financially, education-wise, and relationship-wise. I think you're calling out to them. Lead the way. In a way, right? Let's lead. Lead the way. If you're feeling that you're not operating at 100%, then what is stopping you? And why aren't you?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that, but then there's a thing that these women are the women who are, if you're looking forward to in becoming a better person, upgrading your personality, or becoming in terms of your learning, if you want to upgrade yourself and you want to enjoy life and probably if you're looking forward to a much more meaningful life, if you're that much ambitious, in that case, probably you should be working on yourself.
So where you say, I'm certain I can speak because I've met so many people. What come hote hain? Most people are okay with existing.
Most people in my elite circle, most highly elite in the elite circle, they are day in and out, loving the drudgery of,
over and over, hai na?
Doing household things and those, and trying to fit in so many roles, and in the end, mentally exhausting themselves, and
then again falling
they're having all the non-communicable diseases, and they know that they can let go of these household chores, which any in today's day and age, you give 5,000 to somebody easily, and at the same time you're also giving some employment to somebody.
Yes,
they can see it. Yeah, so they can do it, but they just can't let go. So that insecurity, emotional insecurity, is something that needs to work.
I need to take a leaf out of my own life here, because it's important, when you're learning. Doctor, so this is my second marriage, and I would say that when I walked out of my first marriage, I was in that place where एक तो थोड़ा ostracization होता ही है from family as well as outsiders, and I had a very small son. So at that stage, the validation was needed by me. Everything was needed. I was in that zone. And then for almost 7-8 years, I saw myself being in that drudgery zone, because I felt like a failure, which again was wrong. Well, incorrect thinking. You didn't like a marriage, you stepped out. In fact, I feel it is an act of bravery. I feel today I feel, when I look back, it's an act of bravery for a woman to walk out when she's not happy. And by the way, there was no abuse at all. I was just not happy.
You just wanted to be happy.
I wanted to be happy, but I was penalized for that. So I am seeing my own journey. For the longest time, doctor, what you just said, I was also part of drudgery. Her rose I need to be a good mother, I need to be a good homemaker, I need to be a very good daughter-in-law. Why? Proving to the world, देखो valid है ना, मैंने अपनी पिछली शादी छोड़ी.
To some extent, we all have gone through this in 20s. It's not like, if you take in my case, if I'm having this opinion, in 20s, if you would have asked me, I probably would not have such a holistic, wholesome opinion about this. I also picked up myself from 20s, 30s, but about 40s may go, you are elite with it. What is excuse to have?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's,
you have to go
on with
that bludgeoning yourself on a daily basis.
Exactly.
And still, at the end of
Hold on to
you
that.
say that, wait, I'm not able to take care of health. Who's stopping you from taking care of your health?
Yes.
As in the health sector,
Yeah.
I see many of the skilled my friends who are, doctors, non-doctors. What excuse do you have here about take care of your own health?
That's a very strong.
Yeah. You could give importance to things which can be easily managed at home.
Or delegated.
I'm not saying that you should just become blind to what is happening at home. But very easily, somebody can do it very nicely and be taken care of. You can take care of another person, another, source of income for another person. Why is this selfish endeavor going on and on?
Yeah.
And it's not like you have to sit at home all the time. Your kids are gone to school.
So it's amazing.
You want to be sitting at home.
You
want to just do a 2 hour of practice. Sit at home and do all that.
So the meaning of empowerment is coming through them. From this discussion, Dr. Shalini,
I just hope that it's
choice.
not treading in the path of, this cultural image, and I'm just trying to dissolve all of that. I just hope that I'm not doing that.
No, that's totally evident. Yeah.
It's never like that. I'm also from this same environment. I've also
been grown up.
Yeah. With this patriarchy, being from defense background. It's not like our parents were like from day one. They were like zilch patriarchy, nothing like that.
We're all products of it.
Our way, something like that.
But I'm a product of patriarchy completely. I will see it. I am. And it takes a while to let go. And also, my husband is right here. It takes a lot of communication. Yes, and we do communicate a lot. And it takes you, again, I know I'm repeating this, but independent thinking. So every time there is an argument also between the two of us, we made it a point. First we fight, maybe egos coming in. But वो जो ability आता है ना to look beyond and for what it is comes from independent thinking. And the independent
thinking is there at office. It's not at home. They're able to draw boundaries. They're able to do everything in office. They know they will tell the boss like this. I'm not when you do this in our time. What happens when they reach home? Another second person
appears, na?
Yeah. So this
is very interesting.
Something that so it also comes to the point that you have to be honest to yourself.
Yes.
And what is the harm in pursuing what you really want? It's not that only you and me want to be so ambitious about ourselves, read books, travel.
I think it's not like that. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants it.
Deep down, everybody wants it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'd be no debate of the fact that deep down, every woman wants to be a good, homemaker, homey, and see that.
Yeah.
You're all humans. At the end of the day, we have so much amenities. Each one of us want to make the best use of this. So isn't it?
It's a very, very interesting topic and I really appreciate the way you are speaking in terms of the flavor. I see that there is room, like you just said, that we are part of the social structure. We're not outside of it.
Yeah, I mean well.
So you've come through it to understand it. It's not like baahar baith ke aap upar se dekh ke nahi kar. You've been through it.
Yeah.
And we've not spoken about Dr. Shalini, but I mean, she's from Ladakh, which is into a Punjabi family, and the works that every woman and maybe man, everybody goes through, has a son. We're all from the same background. So, but yeah, I think you're evolving. And now if you could bring us towards, we are now starting to also wrap it up. Now tell us, Chota, if we want to break it down. Let's say somebody is really inspired by this talk and wants to say, okay, how do I begin? what would be a few simple steps or things to start doing for a woman or a man for that?
So
What
in
would
that,
be the things?
yeah, I could say that it could begin from the fact that whatever you need to work on yourself. So what is going on in your daily life, in your domains of your life? There is profession, there is your personal life, then there is just you. Personal life, I mean your family, your husband, children, and then there is you. So you can't just avoid this you part.
Yeah.
So this person that you are, what does this person want? Don't tell me that each and every person is same, basically deep down all. You may be interested in arts. You may be, so you need to have the third dimension. There is profession, there is the person life, family life, and there has to be a third dimension where you need to work on. And when you are working on that third thing, it could be sports, it could be travel, it could be reading, then you become that really this person who's no holds barred, and then you start working on yourself without even realizing that you're working on yourself. So you don't need to actually objectively just be sitting and telling yourself, okay, 1 hour I'm just working on myself.
Yeah.
On myself.
Yeah.
So it can be anything. So we need to keep that third part alive. It's not like we have any option. We need to do that. In order to lead a much more, if we are interested in a much more interesting, meaningful and a life free of frustrations. I didn't say free, but then a very enriching life and something to look forward to each and every
day.
And not just be
Functioning.
down by the daily mundane things.
Yeah, not just functioning, thriving. And I've seen from my experience that always seeps down into the other two also. The personal and professional also get uplifted. Once you are uplifted,
It turns will be mind.
they
Very well in your work, you do very well in your family life, and overall your purpose of life. You gave some more perspectives on the purpose of your life.
Yes.
And we are still learning. I'm not an expert in this, and I'm already there. It's not like that. You will never be there.
You'll never be there. And that's the best part. There's always something to look forward to. Yeah. So that's number one. That maybe the you bit. So there are three parts that doctor said. One is the professional bit, the personal bit, and then ourselves. And we are definitely today focusing on women. There. So women. Anything else? Let's say I start doing that. You had also mentioned education. In terms of using it, not getting educated. We are already speaking to educated women. So what about it?
So what about is it work for the sake of working? So you don't tell me that this work, is so boring that I just realized that this is something that I cannot. None of us are 100% invested in our work.
Yeah.
It's not like your husband who thinks that he's a breadwinner. He's 100% into that work. All of us are having, which problems, I think, but within that work, try to find something which would be your thing. So don't tell me that there's nothing in my work that can be mine. And if it's not there, then create it.
Lovely. Create it.
Create it.
Be the creator. You are talking to a person who's an artist, so I understand the creativity bit. It's very easy to create once you envision it. You need to envision it, then it's very easy to create it. And I remember you telling me that women also need to support. Is there anything you want to tell?
I'm a fan of women supporting other support. You
do your own thing.
You do your own thing.
Support
Why
yourself.
are you busy looking for support? You must to support you. It's not like that you don't need support. You always need that. But why are you always thinking about
how? He goes to buying tab karenge.
If he's the art trying to working on yourself, you'll not be thinking
support. That is true. Yeah.
You'll be rather thinking, baby, I can
for somebody else.
Why will you'll never have time to think about who's supporting me, who's in my favor, who's going against me. If you're having all that time already, it's a reflection of the fact that you're leading meaningless life already. That's why you're distracted. Who's supporting me? Is there anyone who's in my side? Who are listening to it? So it's just like so if we are working on these strategies, then probably we will not be worried about the usual things like there's no support. Who is the feminist? What? I'm a feminist. Why should this bother you?
Time ही नहीं मिलता रहता है. Once you work on yourself, there is so much to do. You don't get the time to look at who's supporting, who's not. You do your own thing. And automatically, at least I've seen a little bit that I do, is that things start falling in place.
Yeah, also it should, doesn't your self-esteem bothering? Why am I looking for
support?
Yeah. Why is it that people should not be looking for support from me? Why should I be looking for support?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in complete agreement.
And give it only if you want to leave, if you're ambitious, that you want to obviously be much happier. And I'm sure that everybody says to lead a happy life. In the end, happy is a very,
it's an elusive term. We don't know what it really means.
But I'm very happy about being too happy. That's not the thing.
Yeah. No, that we understand. Like, it's not the finally happiness meter and that will be the end all, but I think it's a nice way to begin and maybe, think about what's going on. What do you want in life? If you're okay with where you're at, which you're right, most people aren't. They are okay at this level operating, just like functional, not at the highest potential.
In fact, last thing I would probably say this is elite, urban educated women who have probably many of you reached 40. There's only a finite number of years left. No. What is the excuse do we have that now somebody will, pull me out, that, I'll decide and think of what is in life, what will I do in my retirement, what is this profession, where is this going? You only have to do it.
Take charge today.
Take charge.
Take charge today, miss.
No excuse.
No excuse.
Things are out of your control.
Oh, this is brilliant. Any last words before we wrap up, Doctor?
Last words I would say is just that women, there's no excuse for not looking after yourself. And there's no excuse to feel guilty or thinking about yourself, thinking for yourself. Because by thinking for yourself, you're basically becoming a better person, a better mother, probably better wife, a better citizen. Yes. And that is also one very important, which many of us disregard to.
Yes.
Especially women. That we never pay attention to the fact that are you a good citizen community? You have to contribute to what is happening to the economic. So basically, if all of us keep talking about hamari economy, we kya ho raha, and we are ourselves sitting ducks, and let's use that word, and it's I think probably that's been fun. And I'm sure Indian women, for that matter, we are Indian women as well. We are very intelligent people.
Yes.
And we have spirituality in our culture. We have a lot of, many of us, maybe religious also. So if we dig deep, very all the religions, pretty much, they probably, they are teaching the same thing. It is just us, educated urban women, we need to interpret it better and we need to apply it better.
So amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.